I've driven about 2 million miles in Ford, Chevys, Chryslers, Toyotas, a Pontiac, a Dodge, an Oldsmobile, a Datsun, a Saturn, a Plymouth, a Honda, an AMC, and a Volkswagen. My son Brian started driving early. I was a senior in high school in 1971. My first car was a 1960 Plymouth Valiant. My neighbor tried to sell it to me for 75 bucks, but I was not interested because, well, look at it. Can you blame me? Then he said, "I'll just give it to you then. I need to get rid of it." So I reluctantly took it off his hands. The floorboards were so rusted out from 11 Chicago winters that when I gave my sister Karen a ride, a puddle of water splashed up and got her feet wet. Then I got my first Mustang, a 1965 that was 7 years old, and I paid 500 bucks for it. A 289 V8 with 3 on the floor. It didn't handle all that great. It was, after all, just a restyled Falcon. But hey, it had style. Me and my sister Karen once got it up to 105 miles per hour. It was scary how much it bounced around so much at that speed. We didn't tell our parents about that episode until many years later. Today that Mustang would be worth around $30,000, but back then they were a dime a dozen. After 10 years of Ford making the Mustang bigger and bigger, Lee Iacocca trimmed the fat and made it small again just in time for the gas crisis in 1974. The V6 only cranked out about 105 horsepower, but it was my first new car, so that was cool. I sold it to my parents 2 years later to help fund my college education and bought my sister Deborah's 9-year-old 67 Mustang convertible. It was a fun car with the top down, but I had to wear gloves when driving it in the winter, even with the top up. Deb then bought a 75 Camaro and later a Monte Carlo. She shared my enthusiasm for fun cars. When I graduated from college and got a full-time job as an electronic technician, I bought my second new car, a 1977 Plymouth Arrow. I loved the looks of that little hatchback, but the tiny 1.5-liter engine was slow and very noisy at highway speeds with only 4 speeds on the stick. That's when I learned not to buy base models. I'm always for the underdog, and the American Motors Corporation, based in Kenosha, Wisconsin, produced some pretty cool cars in spite of being on a limited budget compared to Ford, Chrysler, and GM. The best-looking pony car, in my opinion, was the AMC Javelin, which won the Trans Am Championship in 1971, 72, and 76. My 74 Javelin had a dash that surrounded the driver like a cockpit, and it was the car I owned when I moved to Huntsville, Alabama to take a job as a radio disc jockey. When Sharon and I got married, we could not afford its thirsty V8, only delivering 13 miles per gallon, so we had to find something more economical. But it still had to be fun to drive. Besides, I miss driving a stick shift. That brought us to a Ford Capri. It handled great and was fun to drive with the manual shift, but it was tiny and did not have power steering, and besides, we had a baby on the way. Our 82 Datsun King Cab had a place for Brian's car seat behind us. It had a 5-speed manual connected to a 2.2-liter 4-cylinder engine that eventually blew a head gasket. I had to strip everything down to the block to repair it. I had parts spread out everywhere in our little shed. I also bought my first motorcycle in 1982, which was a dual-purpose Honda 250. It was fun on and off the road, but I didn't like the way bugs hit my neck like bullets since it didn't have a windshield. I sold it after I slid off a curvy country road going too fast. I went into the ditch, but thankfully me and the bike were okay. Shortly after moving to Nashville, Tennessee in 1984, we bought a 1975 Volkswagen Rabbit, which matched its color as a true lemon. It was falling apart so often I didn't even take a picture of it except for this one with Brian. I snatched this picture off the internet to show you what it would have looked like. We replaced it with the Dodge Omni, which was more reliable, but not very exciting. In 1987, the Lord provided me with a great job as a field service technician working for Ricoh USA, the office equipment company. I drove about 40,000 miles per year, so they provided me with 10 company cars over the years and allowed me to use them for personal use as well, which was great. It was fun to get a brand new ride 10 times. The longest trip I ever took without stopping was in the Dodge Stratus from Panama City to the Tennessee state line. It took 6 hours. By that time, the tank was empty, but my tank and my body was full. I couldn't do that today. Of all the rental cars I have driven, a couple come to mind. This Mercury Cougar, which was cool, and a Chevy Chevette, the absolutely worst car I have ever driven. Noisy and uncomfortable. Our second cars were station wagons until we were able to start buying our own minivans. The Oldsmobile Cutlass Cruiser replaced Sharon's '74 Toyota Corolla. Its automatic transmission only had 2 speeds and eventually lost its automatic function, so we had to manually shift it. We would have to rev it up so high before shifting into second gear, which made us laugh every time. When I became an engineer, I was given an allowance to purchase my own vehicles. So you guessed it, I grabbed me some fun cars. A Z24 Chevy Cavalier with a V6 and a 5-speed, a Chrysler Sebring convertible, a 4-wheel drive Chevy Tracker with a 5-speed, which I took off-road a few times, a Saturn Redline Quad Coupe with a supercharged engine and a 5-speed. Can you tell I like to shift my cars? My second truck was a Chevy Colorado. I then bought a Dodge Dart and a 2016 Chrysler 200 after that. That was a great car. It had 295 horsepower V6 mounted to a 9-speed automatic transmission, which enabled it to get to 60 in 5.7 seconds, but still delivered 40 miles per gallon. I actually kept it for 7 years, the longest I ever held onto a car. Sharon, on the other hand, kept her Sienna for 14 years. I'm pretty sure I got my need for speed from my mother. She said she wouldn't go any faster than her age, which made us nervous when she was still driving in her 90s. She actually got to drive a Ferrari and ride in a race car around the Bristol Motor Speedway. I had to wait until I was 68 years old to get my dream car. I wanted a mid-engine Pontiac Fiero ever since it came out in 1984. I found an '88 GT to restore. On the way home, though, the 33-year-old car wandered all over the road, vibrated horribly, and wouldn't brake straight, along with other issues. It was quite a challenge, especially replacing the water pump in the tiny engine compartment. I had to repair a lot of things and added some modifications like a Bluetooth radio with a backup camera and some shiny chrome exhaust tips. I had to learn some new skills like bodywork and painting. But when I finally got it restored, it hugged the road so well that it made me smile. It had 2 drawbacks, however. It sat so low to the ground that I had to literally fall into it and climb out of it, which was hard on my old bones. It also lacked power steering, which made parking a real chore. Thankfully, I was able to sell it 9 months later for a profit, which financed the front porch I built the following year. So here I am with what I call my sport adventure vehicle, a 2023 4-wheel drive turbo-powered Ford Bronco with removable tops indoors and a 7-speed manual transmission. It is by far the most fun of any vehicle I've ever driven, and I have driven many, as you can tell. I just might hold on to this one until I meet Jesus. But Sharon said, "Nah, you won't." Well, she has a point. It is my 40th vehicle after all.